come in, sir?
Yes, come in.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please take a seat.
Thank you, sir.
Yatish
Yes, sir.
from
Karnataka, sir.
Karnataka.
Bangalore.
You are already working
Yes, sir. I'm in the Indian Police Service,
Indian Police Service.
but I'm on.
So on training or on leave?
I am on leave, sir.
On leave. So you haven't got the cadre yet?
I've got the cadre, sir.
Which one?
Assam and Meghalaya, sir.
Assam, Meghalaya. Okay. Let's start with your hobbies.
Yes, sir.
I think rather than from the top of your DAF, let me start from the bottom of the DAF.
Yes.
What do you specialize in cricket?
Sir, I was an opening batsman and I used to do a bit of off-spin bowling.
Good. I have also been opening batsman. As opening batsman, I have always been worried about how much the ball is going to swing.
Yes.
As a cricketer, I know basics, what happens, but I have not been a science student or engineer like you.
Yes.
So please explain to me the science behind swing bowling.
Yes. So swing bowling is basically caused due to the change of air pressure around the ball. Where the shinier side, the air moves faster compared to the rough side. So
You are talking about Bernoulli's theorem.
Yes, sir.
What happens then?
So the ball swings towards where the air moves faster compared to the slow.
Obviously, because pressure is less.
Pressure.
But ball actually, as a cricketer, I know
Yes.
that ball does not move towards the shiny, it moves towards the rough side. Think over it.
So,
When
but
when you do the outswing,
yes.
we position it towards the slip and the rough side towards the gully mid off.
But that also depends on how the ball is released and the shape of the.
To release is a different thing. It's an art. Okay.
Yes.
That is an art. I'm talking of the science. Science has got something to do with the two sides. Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you a simpler thing then. If the ball is absolutely new, there is hardly any difference in the shine.
Yes.
Will it swing then?
Sir, yes, sir, it will. But the scientific.
Normally they say old ball is better for swinging, but absolutely new ball, will it swing or how? Why?
Sir, again, the pitch surface. I'm a little confused about the concept, sir, but I'll certainly look into it.
Okay, fine. So we move to a little more serious topics then.
Yes.
What is judicial activism and overactivism?
Sir, judicial activism means judiciary taking proactive steps and coming out with
One example.
Sir, the one I can think of is Vishaka guidelines, where the court stepped up and gave guidelines that legislature.
And overactivism?
Sir, overactivism is where it steps too much into the domain of executive, even when it doesn't have the.
For example?
Banning of liquor on the national highways.
This is a very popular example.
And
It happened in Delhi. Did it happen in Karnataka also?
Yes, sir, it was.
Good. Now, what are the basic shortcomings or challenges before our judicial system where we need some reforms?
Yes.
First, list down 1, 2, 3, 4 bullet points, then we'll talk about that.
Yes. Sir, judicial issues, if I have to list down, the first thing would be vacancies in the lower courts.
Start from the most important is the number 1 and then in the decreasing order.
Yes. The most important one would be the appointment process in the higher.
Appointment of High Court, Supreme Court.
High Court and Supreme Court judges.
Is it so important? Okay.
Yes. Second thing is the lack of infrastructure.
Lack of infrastructure.
In the
Third?
entire judiciary. Third is the vacancy in the subordinate courts. Fourth is some of the reforms.
How does infrastructure matter in judiciary?
Sir, we have 3.2 crores of pending cases.
They are because of lack of infrastructure.
Again, lack of judges.
Even if you fill up all the vacancies,
Yes.
Having more vacancies is a recent phenomena. Earlier there was not a problem like this, but these cases are old.
Yes.
Even if you fill up all immediately, how much difference will it make? Instead of 3.2, it will become 3.1 or 3.0.
Yes.
It can't come down to 50 lakhs. So that's not the main problem, something else. And infrastructure, how does it matter?
Sir, to handle the cases, if there are a lot of places in the country where the courts are not there, people are not, the courts have not reached the remote
People,
regions.
sorry, I didn't get it.
Sir, lack of infrastructure, the court's capacity to deal with many cases at one go.
What is infrastructure in that? We can see the number of judges separately we are discussing.
Yes.
What does infrastructure mean?
Sir,
Capacity of case to handle.
No, sir. Handling of the files, handling of if there is.
Can you do the work of the courts without the files?
No, sir. If there are infrastructure such as digitization of the records, it will be better.
So
to
what?
Handle.
The digitization of records will not mean anything because the orders have to be passed in writing. You are in police, my dear friend, then you are going to see this, that there are certain things which are to be done in writing because the law is such.
Yes.
So if you want everything to be digitized, first change all the laws of the country.
Yes.
IPC, CRPC, CPC, everything.
Yes.
Then we can talk about it, digitization. Okay, sir.
Of the three wings of criminal justice system, I would say policing, the policing part is the most weak. Do you agree?
Sir, no, sir. I think it's collective responsibility rather than just one wing. Policing has certain challenges, but I won't say that it's the most.
Let us do a SWOT analysis of the three wings of criminal justice system.
Yes.
Can you identify the strength, weakness and all of the three?
Yes, sir. Sir, before I go forward, police wing, police, judiciary and the legislative, the three wings if I have to talk about. Sir, with the legislature, the strength is that we have a very vibrant democracy. We have people representing the diverse.
Let us confine to those Evidence Act and IPC and what is police administration uses.
Yes. So with respect to the legislature, in the recent times there have been effort to amend the laws. However, some of the laws, the IPC, CRPC, which have to be amended, have not been taken up. That is the weakness from the legislature point of view. From the policing point of view,
do you feel that the legislation is perfectly fine-tuned?
No, sir.
Which are the areas are of concern?
In the legislature with respect to policing?
Yes, with reference to policing.
With respect to policing, there has to be more proactive amendments of the laws. The outdated laws have to be amended by the legislature.
And that is a very sweeping statement. Come to the specifics.
Sir,
any specific point?
Accountability of policing of the police forces by the legislature or by the political representatives.
The investigation part and the FIR, what are the problems, loopholes and issues of concern?
Sir, with respect to...
Let us take into FIR itself. Yes. What are the problems you find as a policeman?
Sir, in majority of the cases, FIRs are not filed by the station in charge officers.
What are the reasons for that?
Sir, some of the major reason is that, one of the major reason is that the people who come up to give the complaint sometimes turn hostile. They don't turn up again to provide witness. Second thing is that political pressure.
It is people's problem or the police problem?
Police problem as well. Police itself don't take up certain FIR due to political pressure and due to...
so you have flagged an issue, politicization of policing.
Yes.
Do you favor that or you disfavor it?
I disfavor it.
But without politicization, you can't have a career in policing.
No, sir. If there are reforms and if the police...
What are the reforms which make police less partisan?
So the first thing is the appointment of policing and the tenure for each police officer have to be guaranteed, and the appointment should not be have any political consideration.
All these reforms have been implemented?
No, sir. They have not been implemented.
Okay. My second question to you, national monetary pipeline.
Yes.
How does it differ from PPP models, or which PPP model you feel closest to it, and how it is different from disinvestment and privatization?
Sir, national monetization
pipeline.
pipeline.
It is called a pipeline.
Yes.
I don't understand anything. You explain to me.
Sir, it differs from asset demonetization in the sense that there is no selling of property in the recently announced national monetization pipeline, but the properties are leased out to private entities for them to free up the capitals. That is how it differs from direct privatization. With terms of PPP model, in PPP,
Privatization, what is privatization?
sir, privatization is government giving up its control of the sectors or the
Let us
industries
take
that it
about a PSU. Let us say
Yes.
privatization means what? In a PSU, equity participation, what does it mean?
Sir, if I have to take the example of airport, privatization would mean that government selling more than 50% of its stake in an airport to a private company.
Okay. Then what is disinvestment?
Disinvestment might not be up to 50%, it's just
Okay,
selling some
fine,
percentage.
Fine. Now the PPP model closest to this national monetary pipeline.
Yes. Yes, sir. PPP model is close. PPP model can also be used for greenfield projects, whereas the recent national monetization pipeline has been announced only for brownfield projects, where the infrastructure has already been built. Only the licensing of already built infrastructure has been
So
given.
people have to pay more for the services in the brownfield areas, right?
Sir,
What would be the consequence?
no, sir, I don't entirely agree with that, sir. It might need not be the same, because entry of more private players into such kind of sector might increase competition and reduce the overall cost that is borne by the public.
Okay, sir.
You are from RB College.
Yes, sir.
What has been a cricketer also.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, what has been the history of cricket in RB College?
So RB College is one of the strongest college teams in Karnataka. It has participated in majority of the state level competitions in Karnataka. There have been very famous players from RB College, like Anil Kumble is one of our alumni who was passed out of RB College.
Who else?
I'm not able to recall.
Srinath was not a student of RB College?
I'm not
Javagal Srinath, you are aware of?
Yes, sir, I'm aware of Javagal.
Yesterday, day before yesterday, in fact, Prime Minister, while talking in Mann Ki Baat, he mentioned about Sukhet model. What is this?
Sir, I have not heard of.
Why you didn't hear the Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat? It is a policy decisions. There are certain policy statements in that.
Yes, I was traveling to Delhi from Bangalore yesterday, so I couldn't catch up.
Hear
Today
that
I'll
and
go
find
look.
out what is Sukhet.
Yes.
Tell me, why with certain terms we associate colors? Okay, like say blue economy or blue blood, yellow journalism, red tape. Why do we associate colors with such words? Explain a couple of them.
Sir, blue economy largely refers to economy.
No, why it may refer to many things, but why we associate colors with that?
Sir, because it will be easy to make it understandable to the people.
Then why not white economy? I like white color, so I may say white economy.
Yes,
Why economy is blue?
Sir, largely it's something that should be quite obvious when we use the term, the color.
What is blue economy?
Largely it deals with the economy that is through exploiting the ocean resources.
So can you associate blue with ocean?
So we always have looked at ocean as blue color.
So that's why we say blue economy. But why we call journalism as the yellow journalism?
Not.
No. Try to analyze. Or a red tape.
Sir, red tape is largely because the cutting of the tape to inaugurate any project.
Oh, that is a recent phenomena. During Britishers' time, there was no such cutting of tape. But even then, it was called red tape. What can be the reason why?
If I have to take a guess, probably because all the files were tied up.
That's exactly the reason behind.
Red tape.
Why do you think literacy is so low in India? What can be done to increase literacy?
Sir, so if some of the reasons for low level literacy is quality of teaching at primary primary education, dropout of students at the interland or rural.
No, something new which comes to your mind, some revolutionary idea, may not be implementable, but if you think.
Sir, one revolutionary idea that I can think of is one that I had worked in my college as part of a competition where we were trying to design a electronic device which can be placed in any remote region, and people interacting through that should be able to pick up basic literacy. This was conducted by a company called XPRIZE. So the device should be able to interact with people. The entire program should be in colloquial
still
language.
Rooted to ground idea.
Rooted to ground idea would be mass adult education.
That has been doing, the government of India has been doing for last so many years.
Other than
What is your take if we say that in village level self administration bodies or even during MLAs,
Yes.
only a person can be a candidate if he is a graduate? Will it have any impact?
No, sir. I don't think it will largely have an impact because
For that they will have to study in the schools and colleges.
yes, sir.
Only then they can fight an election.
Yes. But this has been tried in some of the states, and it still hasn't given positive results, sir. And by doing such, we would be denying large part of people participation in democracy.
Oh, everybody should be educated. That is the motto of the government.
Yes.
Okay. So to instill that, that is one of the most easiest thing where even criminals come and fight elections. Why don't you think this is a viable idea?
Sir, I largely
Fighting election, right to the lowest person, that is one thing. But right to education is also one of the constitutional guaranteed idea. What's the harm in that?
So, but only certain section of the society would be interested to fight the election rather than the large section. So many would not be incentivized to take up education to contest an election.
But
Okay. Some question from Karnataka. How long is the coastal line of Karnataka?
So I'm not aware of the exact. Length.
Okay. Are you aware about the figure of the Karnataka? What is the rate of literacy? Otherwise,
Yes,
we will
sir.
change the question.
Yes.
Let us come to your subject.
Yes.
Your subject is international relation.
Yes.
On what basis the foreign policy of any country is based?
Sir, largely it's a interest in the international area.
So that's why I'm saying why we should not, talk to the Taliban, why we have closed down the embassy in Afghanistan. Instead of closing the embassy, should not the Indian be stayed in Afghanistan?
Sir, we have closed down the embassy right now, considering the security situation there. But
No, but Taliban was assuring us.
yes,
There was a statement of paper I was reading. Taliban assured us.
Yes,
so
sir.
why you have bounded all the luggage and come back to the India?
sir, the issue with the Taliban is that there are many groups inside the Taliban. So till the situation gets settled down, it would be very difficult to rely on one section.
Can you tell me the ethnicity of the Taliban? You say there are many different groups. The different groups are based on their warlords and the ethnicity.
Yes.
Can you tell me what is the ethnicity of the Afghanistan?
Yes, sir. Basically, Afghanistan is a group of tribes. The majority of them are Pathans or Pashtuns, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, Pashtuns.
Tajiks. Some of them are Kurds, Hazaras. These are some of the tribes that I can think of.
What is the dispute, cause of the dispute? Initially stated, though Iran has supported the Taliban, but initial dispute was what with the Iran? Why they were fighting with the Taliban or against the Taliban in last time and not this time?
Sir, last time the major issue was the Shia and Sunni conflict between Iran and some of the tribes which follow Sunni sect in Afghan. But at the present time, I'm not completely sure of what is the reason for Iran's cooperation with Taliban. But if I have to take a guess, it is probably because of the nexus that China, Pakistan, Iran, Russia has formed in the region.
My another question related to this, what is difference in ISIS, what is difference in ISIK and basically in the Taliban?
Sir, these are all different groups originating in the Central Asia. The agendas are what largely differentiates majority of them. The ISIS or IS larger aim is to establish a caliph state across the Central Asia, whereas Taliban is more interested in establishing its rule in the Afghan region.
Okay, there was a dispute in police, especially in the northeast. You get the northeast here,
Yes.
so there was a dispute in Mizoram and the Assam border.
Yes, yes.
So some people are saying that there should be a national police. How do you consider, what is your opinion about a national police? Because there will be no dispute if the both sides on the border side, which is not well defined in northeast, so there will be a national police.
Sir, any idea of national police should largely be that of a regulatory role than controlling the day-to-day business, because that would be infringing on the powers of the state, which is exclusive on law and order. So the entire concept of national
But
police.
the state police going unruly. One force is fighting to the another force.
Yes. For such kind of situation, it should be taken case by case, and the Home Ministry, Central Home Ministry, should interfere or by setting up an overarching committee that can overlook such kind of issues, rather than an entire national police that controls the day-to-day affairs of.
Okay, my
policies.
last question to you about Karnataka. What is a ॿेलगाम dispute between Maharashtra and Karnataka?
Sir,
It is a long dispute going on.
Yes. Sir, Belgaum is a region that has Marathi-speaking people as well as Kannada-speaking people. So the state of Maharashtra has always been claiming that Belgavi should be part of the Maharashtra state based on the idea that majority of the people in Belgaum speak Marathi. However, during the State Reorganization Act, it was settled that Belgaum should be part of Karnataka. So Karnataka stick to that point that due to the act, it should be part of Karnataka.
Sir.
Yatish,
Yes.
you must be aware of yesterday's incident when SDM Karnal,
Yes. Yes.
you remember that what he said?
Yes, in the protest regarding the
The farmers' protest.
Yes.
Suppose you are IPS officer, just joined,
Yes.
you were also there,
Yes.
and SDM says like this. What will your reaction?
Sir, first I would disagree with him, and I would try to convince him that this is not the standard operating procedure that we have been trained to follow. I would tell him that we will go step by first negotiating with the farmers, and then only resort
Suppose
to.
I am SDM.
Yes, sir.
They say, here I am the authority.
Yes.
You do whatever I am saying. What will your answer?
Sir, I would first try to negotiate and try to convince you. If you still disagree, I would go to the district commissioner and seek his opinion on the same.
Okay, instead of that, you may ring next higher officer.
Yes.
But don't you feel sometimes in desperation, some SDM or some IPS officer is there for last 6 months, continuously, day and night. Was that so unique, or it happens every day?
Sorry, sir, I couldn't complete.
Generally, such kind of statement comes out of
Yes.
district authorities.
No, sir. It's not something that comes out on a daily basis. Probably.
Okay, good. So now, what is your impression? You are on the bank of the entering in the police.
Yes.
What is your impression about police behavior, police system, Karnataka and other than Karnataka?
Sir, my impression is that the entire police force is a bit stretched due to the lack of men, the number of police to population ratio. Yes, there are a lot of issues because of that arises, and that the police are sometimes become desperate to solve the cases within stipulated time. So there are certain issues that have made the police force a bit stretched. And
so your impression is they are under pressure, that's why their behavior is like that.
Yes, sir. One issue is because of pressure. Second is lack of overarching accountability over the policing force.
There have been many police committees, commissions.
Yes.
Can you name some?
Yes, the National Police Commission, Raibiro Commission,
No,
Malimat
year
Commission.
also. National Police Commission. Which year?
If if I'm not wrong, it was in the 90s, sir. I'm not able to recall the exact.
Around 80s, Military Service Commission. Okay, then?
Malimat Commission on Model Police. Soli Sarabji, if I'm not wrong. Soli Sarabji's committee was also there.
And that Prakash Singh case also?
Prakash Singh guidelines by Supreme
Every
Court.
police commission has recommended that we should give them proper facilities,
Yes.
proper, but why they are not implementing?
Sir, the first thing is the budgeting for the police has not been increased over the years. It is
You will join
stagnant.
police. What action you will take? How will you improve this situation at your level?
Sir, at my level, if I enter as SP or DOSP, the first thing that I would try to implement is the 10-hour shift system, if possible, by usage of proper force. Second thing would be to overlook the infrastructure facilities with respect to housing available to the constabulary
Okay,
class.
just last question of political science.
Yes.
In the last 20 years, the reforms in elections in India,
Yes.
what steps have been taken?
Sir, some of the reforms that have been made are with respect to criminalization of politics. A lot of guidelines have been issued by.
Exact.
Yes. The candidates have to disclose the cases against them. Candidates have to file affidavit about their assets. Second thing, creation of awareness through new initiatives such as sweep by the Election Commission, the electoral bonds in order to make the entire process of election funding more transparent.
Electoral bond, are you satisfied?
No, sir. There are certain issues, but still, it's a step in the right direction that needs some changes.
What more can be done to improve it further?
Sir, instead of certain banks issuing the bonds, it should be issued by an independent constitutional body such as Election Commission, so that the data of the donor and the receiver is intact with the independent body rather than a bank that is largely under the control of central.
Now, Home Minister is Amit Shah.
Yes.
Who are the other ministers supporting Home Minister?
Minister of State for Home, Mr. Kishan Reddy, sir, from.
He is from Karnataka or
no,
Andhra?
Andhra. Telangana. Sir.
Telangana. Who else?
The recent minister's name I'm not able to recall.
No, over.
Yes.
Compare 4 incidences. Okay. One was this incident that honorable member just talked about.
Yes.
Twitter is vibrant that whatsoever the SDM did was correct, because these people were obstructing the general public life for so many months. Compare this thing with the Hyderabad incidents, where the police shot the criminals, rapists, and public made a welcome gesture towards the police. Compare Nirbhaya Kand. There was hue and cry in Delhi for months together. Mysuru Kand, no issue at all. People are remaining silent. What does it speak? That people are fed up with the police inactiveness. They are taking law into in his own hand. Like if you compare the SDM's incident with Hyderabad incident, there is a silent discomfiture of people towards police.
Sir, the large issue I think is because of the entire delay in the judicial process that has led people towards supporting such kind of incidents, because there is this notion that the justice is largely denied and delayed in this country because of the long process.
But the jurists are saying, Supreme Court has said that CBI is unnecessarily delaying the cases.
Yes.
So public anger is towards the police, not towards the judiciary.
Yes, sir. Public largely believes that police largely acts on the political will and pressure. So that is.
And
one
you
of the
agree to that?
Yes, sir. There is large notion among the people that police is largely controlled by people.
One more question I'll ask you.
Yes.
Before we conclude, you were replying to my colleague in relation to the reforms in election.
Yes.
How do you substantiate what you say, that electoral bonds have led to more transparency and it's a reform?
Yes.
Because I personally feel that it's a reform in the wrong direction. You're saying it is in the right direction. How it is in the right direction? Particularly when the newspaper reports from where I get the information say that in recent years, we do not know, public doesn't know who is contributing crores, and 80% of the huge money is being coming to the ruling party. So how is it in the right direction? Is it not in the wrong direction?
Sir, the first thing is that the limit on cash deposit was reduced.
I get it, 2,000 to 20,000 means a difference of 18,000. Is it more important, or hundreds of crores are more important for elections?
Now, majority of the money is coming through the legal channels where the taxable money is coming. Instead, back then, largely the money was coming through back channels. Largely, it was through the black channel or the money that was unaccounted that used to flow into the political parties. Now, because of electoral bonds, that's one of the...
It may be the number one now, white money, but is it good that only one party is getting it?
No, sir.
And that's because of lack of transparency. I have nothing against that one party getting it, if people want to give. But then why is not disclosed who is giving it?
Yes, that is where I mentioned some of the reforms.
No, it is not some of the reform, it is the only reform which is required. Because just one thing is so crucial that all other things in this reform are whitewashed. Is it not so? Ultimately, what matters? Who is giving to whom?
Yes, sir.
If that is not clear, the matter is over.
So, but if that is disclosed on public platform, then that can become one of the criteria for undue pressure on them by the political party. If A donates to a political party B.
That's what I'm saying. That means if XYZ industrialists are giving, why should public not know? After all, it's white money. They want to give it.
Yes, sir. But if the other party targets them because they are not...
Naturally, let them target. So, you mean to say that whoever is in power, XYZ, today or tomorrow or day after, should be getting everything? That is what you mean?
No, sir. What I meant was that the data should largely be controlled by an independent body rather than the party in power or any other political party.
Who will control it?
An independent body such as Election Commission or...
But why not make it transparent? I say the earlier system was better than this. This problem was not happening in the earlier system before electoral bonds came into existence.
On that note, I agree.
Okay, anyway. So, Yatish, your interview is over.
Yes.
Before we give you a feedback, we would like to know what do you feel? How did you perform today?
Sir, I don't think I did very well. Because some of the questions did make me really uncomfortable and think a lot.
Is TM question?
No, sir.
It is in the news. It is bound to be asked.
Yes, sir. Not any particular question, sir, but I felt that this was an interview that was required for me because there was...
You are experienced. You are already in IPS. How did you perform last year with UPSC?
I got 165, sir. Not
60%. 165 is okay. But I find a lot of people are getting 165 today. Now, your only choice is IAS.
Yes, sir.
You will also look for a good cadre.
Yes,
so you need better marks than 165. Yes. What will you do to get better marks?
So, yes, I would like to put myself in situations like this where...
Situations, exactly. For a person who is already in IPS, the questions are going to be like this only as you had today.
Yes.
Factual questions are not going to be the key questions. There will be some factual questions always in every interview, but they do not have many marks. They'll give you average marks even if you answer all of them. It is the opinionated questions which matter. So, two questions which my colleagues asked you, and earlier I asked you in the first question in the beginning, I was very disappointed on judiciary. You need to do prioritization in an interview. Your first was vacancy, your second was infrastructure, your third was again number of judges. As if there is no other problem. First of all, let me give a suggestion to you. I find most of the engineers who do not think beyond the obvious are making one mistake. Whichever problem, whether it is social or anything, political or anything, they think that answer to everything in this world is two things, technology and infrastructure, because infrastructure is in the news. It's fashionable to use these two words. Please don't do it in social problems. Digitization was forcefully, compulsorily done in the last 18 months in the courts. Courts have just opened physically 2 days back.
Yes, sir.
And it has been a big failure in the courts. Everybody was demanding in the physical because they were only giving further dates through the online process. No decisions were being taken. It was a big failure. And it is bound to be. Even in the income tax department, yesterday there was the news on the front page, the government is going to dilute the faceless scheme because it doesn't work in certain matters, right? So don't go after the digitization on courts. It won't work.
Yes.
Similarly, infrastructure. What is infrastructure of the courts? You are not sure. If you mean it is building or it is files, I think you are on the wrong track. The real problem is something else. The two most important reasons you haven't touched. One is delay. Why delay? Related to pendency, but more importantly, we have outdated laws and procedures. Unless we change those procedures, CPC and CRPC, nothing will happen. In an average case goes for 20 years plus in India.
Yes.
You must have heard of the famous dialogue of the films, Tariq pe Tariq. That is the first reason, most important. Second is, we need to evolve and bring out alternate and popularize alternate methods of dispute resolution. Things like arbitration, mediation, and so on, and specific tribunals for specific things. So think on those lines. You need to think on this question a little before you start answering. Do not think that it is always good to talk about technology and infrastructure. See? And similarly, do not answer a question with confidence if you do not know it correctly. That is, I'm talking of the cricket ball now. You could have tried. Sir, I'm not very sure. I know this could be the reason that Bernoulli's problem, but it is not so. Go and study it. It's a very complicated question. I wouldn't deduct any marks if you had said, I do not know, because it's a very difficult question. But now I deduct some marks because you tried to answer it confidently. That is the test of an individual at this level. Okay? So,
even for criminal, wings of criminal, you didn't say prison administration, you didn't say FIR, the issues of FIR. When I ask SWOT analysis, you have to be very specific and very fast if you want to answer getting better score.
No.
You have to be bullet point 1, 2, 3. Then all the three wings, if the question is like that, that is what I expected from you. You lacked there. Please prepare that, because you are a police officer, right?
See, practice for analytical answers.
Yes.
Okay. If you really want to go to IAS,
Yes.
and if in UPSC interview they ask you general questions, then think, just imagine whether you have done well in the optionals or not. Only that can push you to IAS. And if you get even a single question of analytical nature, grab it, so that they ask you more analytical questions.
Yes.
That should be your strategy. So work on this.
I'm happy you will do well. That was tough, and you refused, I will not. I will ask you. That's a wonderful answer. Similarly for that, this time you will do better.
I asked you two questions about the foreign policy. What I was saying, I wanted your answer for first foreign policy question. We should talk to the Taliban. Because first I asked what is our basis of foreign policy. So national interest is the basis.
Yes.
We cannot be, stick to Ashraf Ghani or any other politicians or the groups.
Yes.
Ultimately, our interests are important.
Everything
So another
is
question
defined.
on police, they're very fine. You have given day-to-day working cannot be controlled. So one was right, another was something we were expecting more in that.
Yes.
All the best.
okay, Mr. Yatish, all the best for IAS.
You will do well.